we are going to welcome our next guest on the other side of the Republican primary, Dan Fusco. And you are the endorsed candidate by the Oneida County Republican Committee for that position. We just had Mike Gentile on before. And we're going to have a very similar lightning round with you, I guess, about 15 minutes. But before we get to any of the topics or anything you want to say, Mike did agree to have a debate with you on our show, and I believe maybe looking at early June 9th. So would you agree to a debate?
Absolutely. That'll be great. You know, I appreciate you saying that I'm the Republican and the conservative endorsed candidate. What that means is that I'm endorsed by the majority of the Republican constituency and the conservative constituency, because it's the committee members that vote based on weighted vote. So it's not just the party, but it's the constituency. It's the majority of the people. And I got the conservative nomination with an anonymous decision. I got the Republican with over 65% of the vote in a three-way race. That means the other two split the remaining less than 35%. So remember, it's not the party so much, it's the people that they represent. This is all about a representative, republic we have here, a constitutional representative republic. And if you guys give me 90 seconds, I'm going to blurb something out that I want to talk about.
Well,
I loved your question.
Just before that, I just want to touch on one thing.
Sure.
I find it interesting that your opponent seems to be endorsed by some of the political leaders in the community, and yet you've been endorsed by the people and the Republican committee itself. Can you address that?
Thank you, and that's in the 90 seconds. I really appreciate you asking that. If you look at on our website, Fusco for Assembly, the Facebook page, Dan Fusco for Assembly, and on my personal Facebook page, Daniel Fusco, I listed it's called the New Democrat Coalition Affordability Agenda, and they have all their affordability talk points and what they mean. I posted on Daniel Fusco Facebook what those really mean. I call it the unaffordability agenda. So any Democrat that runs for office or currently sits in the Assembly or the Senate will vote their party. I don't go for this. I'm a moderate Democrat. I'm a new Democrat. I don't go for that. Now, in the case of my primary challenger, he is endorsed by. If you look at who endorses him, who got his signatures, who just hosted his fundraiser, it was all Oneida County employees and their families. So Oneida County is split. It has like a shadow party right now, and they are putting up their own candidate. Now, do you think my challenger is going to stand on his own 2 feet and vote for the people, or is he going to vote for the political machine that has run things the same way over and over again? That's my bet right there. And as a constituent, I don't want that in the 119th. I want a guy like me that stands on his own 2 feet and represents the people first and foremost. I don't run to join the club. Not at all. I run to represent the people.
So, Dan, what makes you think that Mike would vote according with those individuals, those supporters who you just outlined there? What makes you think that he'd want to stick with them and vote how they want him to vote instead of voting what would be best for the district?
Compare his website with my website. We've spent months, and I've written over 22 articles right now stating my platform, what I believe and what I stand for. Look at his website. It's a landing page. It's a URL that goes to a landing page. It's one page. It scrolls up and down. I don't know what Mike stands for. I do not know. And the questions that you guys asked, very vague answers. He did not give solutions. And I love Mark's questions. What are the solutions? And I don't need that 90 seconds anymore because we just covered it. So hit me with those questions and see how I do.
Mark asking the question.
Well, wait, I want to hit you with the same question I hit him with.
Yes, sir.
Which it matters not, in my opinion, whether you or Mike get elected if the Assembly remains in the hands of the Democrats and the Senate remains in the hands of the Democrats, because how do you change anything if you have no voice?
Yeah, you get asked that a lot. A lot of it is factual, a lot of it is presumption, but something to understand, and I don't think my opponent really understood this, is if we had 52 members and we're at about 47, and I just spoke at the New York State Federation for Republican Women, they have 23 women candidates coming up, all solid candidates. So if we can get up to that 52 member mark, then by New York State constitutional law, the Republican convention must be allowed into the caucus. Now they have a seat at the table. Awesome. That's the flipper. And when a fantastic fellow who I'm getting to know, Bruce Blakeman and Joe Hernandez for controller, and Saritha Kamada Reddy, when these people are elected, we've got their backs. But if you don't have a true Republican that really understands them, nobody's going to have their back. So the key is that we are allowed to caucus with the rest of the big boys. That's the key.
I'll ask the question I ask every candidate this. I maybe have a better answer than they do besides get there and figure out what I want to do. Power cost. You heard me ask Mike that. Yeah. People listening probably heard me ask it. I won't go through the whole background. Do you have a solution other than stating the problem, a solution to what can be done to try to reduce the power cost for people in New York State?
Yeah. Sure. One of the things is you have to stop the wobbly wheel first. We're going down the course with very wobbly wheels. The CLCPA was the culprit, and I've been following that since 2019, and that's the thing that got me involved with politics. Previously, you heard you have to eliminate ORES. You're never going to eliminate ORES because ORES, the Office of Renewable Energy Setting, when it was first created through CLCPA, it was part of the Department of State. Then they switched it over to the Public Safety Commission. When they did that, now it becomes an authority, I believe you'd say, and they have eminent domain authority. So what they're doing, and this is how we defeated the massive solar project up in Deerfield, was it was the cost of the transmission lines. They couldn't get it from the solar arrays down to the interconnection point down on Edic Road. They couldn't do that. They went to New York State for more money for that. New York State says we don't have it. But New York State is getting that money. And what they're doing, and this is where the 70% of your power bill comes in, they're taking the tax credits they get from the renewable energy, they're taking that 70% of your power bill, and they're giving it to companies. And remember, these are foreign interest-owned companies to build out the infrastructure. The first thing you got to do is cut the head off that snake. You cannot allow our ratepayer money to go into private companies to build out their infrastructure. If they want to make a capital investment, let them do that on their own, and immediately all those tax credits that NYSERDA is sitting on and all the money that's on our bill needs to go back to the ratepayers. That's one way to stop that wheel from wobbling. Once you get that, then you can fix the problem. But I can't say, well, you got to do this and it'll work. No, you got to stop the wobbly wheel, as I just explained, then fix the problem.
Dan, another question I'll ask, and I didn't ask Mike this. Right now, there's a proposal to reduce the retirement age for New York State employees from 62 to 55, and also to reduce the contribution of state employees from 6% to 3% toward their pension. There are estimates of what that would cost the state, but it's in the millions, maybe even to billions of dollars. It's hard for people to reconcile why you would reduce the retirement age in New York State and reduce the employees' contribution when you're in a state that's in financial distress. Mm-hmm. We have these high tax rates. But what's your thought about that? Should it be reduced? And I'll say this, too. People's life expectancy today is longer than it was back when Social Security was created and they came up with this 65 years to retire. You can juggle that around a little bit, but people are living longer. And people's work life can extend more because people are healthier generally. What's your thought about New York State reducing the retirement age from 62 to 55?
Well, that's part of the Tier 6 reform, I believe, right? But if you look at the pension fund overall, you can't change your deal with the workers of New York State. They work their whole life.
Well, these are new workers. These are people who are coming into the system now, and the people who are in the system have a 62-year retirement age.
Right.
That's when they retire.
Right. The
governor wants to reduce it to 55. Right. Maybe you weren't familiar with it.
No, I am. But what I'm trying to get at, the man who has the answer for this is Joe Hernandez, running for the New York State Controller, and he's a Wall Street guy. Do you know that about 74% of the pension fund is supported by investment of that fund? And I talked to Joe the other day. We were in Albany together, and he said that right now, the Napoli is yielding,
but you're getting off track.
A little over 5%. But
my question is to you: do you favor reducing the retirement age? You personally,
no.
If you got to Albany, you're going to vote. Would you vote to reduce it from 62 to 55?
I don't think I would. But what I would vote for, once again, fix the root cause. Mm-hmm. Start investing those monies so you yield more than 5.75%. A fellow like Joe Hernandez, he's a Wall Street guy. He should be getting 10 to 13% of that money. 74% of the New York State Pension Fund is funded by the investments of those dollars. I think only 2 or 3% actually comes from the workers, and the remaining from the employer. So I hope that answers the question, but that's where we need to look.
So you would not vote to reduce the retirement age?
You know, like anything, you got to look deeply into it. Right now, this day, if we were in session, I'd say no, I would not vote to reduce it.
We got about 3 minutes left here, Dan, so we'll try to fit in as much as we can. The listener texted in, though, just to go back to the committee endorsement question. The listener wants to know, why do you think the county executive, Anthony Pacenti, is endorsing Mike Gentile instead of you, despite the committee's endorsement?
You'd have to ask him. My perception on this is that the man's been in office for 19 years. It's a long period. He has a lot going. He's got a lot in the works. I think he just wants to hang on to things and keep things going the way he wants them to go. Is that the way the people want them to go? They get to decide on June 23rd, and they get to decide on November 3rd if that's the way the people want it to go. Anthony Pacenti does not get to make that decision. He works for the people. One other thing that's very, very critical to talk about in the talking points is health care. Do you know that in Medicaid, I know you mentioned you don't like to hear waste, fraud, and abuse, but listen to this one. The Medicare budget in the state of Minnesota, and we all know what happened there, was somewhere between 18 and 20 billion. Currently in New York State, it's $124.8 billion. I think New York State has been such a mess with waste, fraud, and abuse that nobody even cares to look at it. We hit the soft targets first. We hit Minnesota. We're looking at Ohio now. Okay, now the federal government right now is responding to that by cutting programs, trying to save the money. If the states are burning this money, they're trying to put the fire out a little bit. They take heat because, you cut SNAP, you cut this and you cut that. But they have to cut it. Now, Medicaid is 46% of the New York State, what is going to be a $278+ billion budget. If the feds start cutting money from that, how many billions now is the state going to be short in their obligations to Medicaid? That is a dangerous thing, and the only way, folks, and just like I warned about solar tripling our electric rates 3.5 years ago, right in this room, right in the seat, I'm telling you right now, the only place New York State can get these funds currently is through reevaluation of property taxes. I had a conversation with Senator George Borrello the other day in Albany. I said, does a New York State property tax cap of 2% protect us of that? He goes, absolutely not. They'll just vote that out like that. No protection. You got to watch that, folks.
One minute, Jim.
Would you support shale oil? Pennsylvania has done, as you know, very well with it. We've banned shale oil, and yet we have a tremendous amount of shale along the southern tier. Yeah. Would you support exploration of that, again, to help bring down costs and to fill some of our coffers?
Yes, I would, based on what I've learned by talking to international oil and gas exploration engineers, by mining engineers. Do you know that fracking wells go about 2 miles deep? So unless there's mismanagement in drilling the wells and extracting it, it's incredibly safe. I just did a quick video. I put it on my Facebook, and it's about the potential of revenues earned there is how about eliminating school taxes for everyone in New York? That can be done if we're smart about this, if we don't politicize it. So, yes, I would support that.
All right, Dan Fusco, we appreciate you and Mike Gentile both stuck to your time, about 15 minutes back to back.
It's tough.
I think we cut. No, you guys are getting better. I appreciate it, and a good conversation with both of you, and hopefully it was valuable to the listeners. And maybe the next time we see you in the next few weeks will be you and Mike sitting right here in studio for a debate on some of these issues as well. So we look forward to that. Dan Fusco, the Republican endorsed candidate for New York State Assembly in the 119th. Thank you for your time and good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you guys for all you do. Appreciate it.